My stepdaughter, who has the right of inheritance, stole money from me, so I gave my husband an ultimatum: throw her out or get a divorce. I always thought my life was simple. I married Tom 10 years ago, right after he lost his first wife to cancer. He was left with Mia, his then 9-year-old daughter, a sweet but troubled girl. I didn't have any kids of my own, so marrying into an instant family seemed like a dream. I thought of Mia as my own, poured love and affection into her, hoping to fill some of the void left by her mother's passing. It worked, for a while. Mia and I got along well, and I genuinely felt we were forming a mother-daughter bond. As the years went by, things changed. Mia became more distant, moody, and started to rebel against everything I said. I chalked it up to typical teenage angst, but deep down, I knew it was more. She resented me, saw me as an intruder, a poor replacement for the mother she lost. And Tom, well, he always made excuses for her behavior. Life carried on with its ups and downs until about 6 months ago, when I started noticing money missing from my personal savings account. At first, it was just a few $100s, and I thought maybe I had miscalculated my spending. I work as a freelance graphic designer, and sometimes the payments are unpredictable, so I didn't think much of it. But the missing money kept adding up. A few $100s turned into a few thousand. It wasn't until I went to withdraw money for a business expense and found my account nearly empty that I realized something was seriously wrong. I felt a chill run down my spine. This wasn't just a mistake, this was theft. I'm going to pause here for a moment. I'd love to know what you guys think. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're interested in hearing more of my story. Now, let's continue. I didn't know who to trust, but I had to start somewhere. I went to the bank, thinking maybe there had been a mistake or some kind of fraud. The bank teller pulled up my account statements, and my heart sank. There were several transfers, all made to a Venmo account I didn't recognize. When I asked for the details, the teller told me the transfers were made from my phone using my banking app. Someone in my house had done this. Someone had used my phone, or worse, had access to my passwords. I felt sick to my stomach. It couldn't be Tom. He had his own money, more than me, in fact. That left only one person, Mia. Confronting her wasn't easy. I waited until Tom was out of the house. It was a Saturday morning, and Mia was in her room, music blaring as usual. I knocked on her door, my hands shaking. She opened it, barely looking at me, her face painted with boredom and annoyance. "What do you want?" she snapped, crossing her arms over her chest. I took a deep breath. "I need to talk to you, Mia." "It's important." She rolled her eyes. "Make it quick." "I have plans. Have you been taking money from my account?" Her eyes widened for a split second before she regained her composure. "What are you talking about? I know you've been transferring money from my account to yours." "Don't lie to me," Mia shrugged, her face hardening. "So what if I did? It's not like you're using it for anything important. And besides, I'm entitled to it. Mom left everything to me, remember? You're just here because Dad felt sorry for you." Her words were like a slap to the face. "Mia, your mother's inheritance is separate. This is my money, the money I've worked hard for. You had no right to take it." She smirked, an ugly expression that twisted her pretty features. "You're not my mother. You never will be. You should be grateful I'm even talking to you right now." I felt tears sting my eyes, but I blinked them back. I had to be strong, had to set boundaries. This isn't about being your mother, Mia. It's about respect. You've stolen from me, and that's not okay. You need to return the money and apologize." Mia laughed, a cold, hollow sound. "Or what? You'll tell Dad? Go ahead. See if he cares. He'll take my side, like he always does." I stood there, stunned. How had things gotten so bad? I had tried so hard to be there for Mia, to support her, and this was how she saw me, as an outsider, someone she could manipulate and steal from. I turned on my heel and walked out of her room, her laughter ringing in my ears. As I closed the door, I made a decision. If Tom wouldn't stand up to Mia, if he wouldn't support me in this, then maybe our marriage wasn't as strong as I thought. I was done being the doormat that I needed to talk to Tom. This couldn't go on. Mia had to face the consequences of her actions, and if Tom couldn't see that, I was ready to walk away from everything I'd built with him. This was about more than just money. It was about respect, trust, and the life we were supposed to be building together. That I sat in the living room, my hands gripping a cup of cold coffee, my mind racing. How had we come to this? I heard the front door open and then close. Tom was home. I stood up, ready to face him, ready to confront this mess head-on. "Hey, hon," he said, smiling as he walked into the living room. His smile faded when he saw my face. "What's wrong?" I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "We need to talk." "It's about Mia." Tom's shoulders sagged. "What has she done now?" "She's been stealing money from my account," I said, my voice trembling. "Thousands of dollars, Tom." She admitted it to me. She doesn't even feel sorry about it. She thinks she's entitled to it because of her mother's inheritance. Tom's face went pale. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing the room. "Are you sure? Maybe it's a misunderstanding." "Mia wouldn't," I cut him off, anger flaring. "Don't defend her, Tom. I've got proof. The bank statements, the transfers, they all lead to her." I confronted her, and she didn't even deny it. She just laughed at me, said you wouldn't care. Tom stopped pacing and looked at me, his face a mask of confusion and guilt. "She really said that?" "Yes, she did. And I'm done, Tom. I'm done with the lies, the manipulation. I've tried to be patient, to understand, but this is too much. She's stealing from me, from us. We can't just let this slide." Tom sat down heavily on the couch, burying his face in his hands. "I don't know what to do," he said, his voice muffled. "She's been through so much, losing her mom. I thought giving her space, letting her do her thing, was helping her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Tom, you're enabling her. She's not a little girl anymore, she's an adult. She needs to face the consequences of her actions. If we keep ignoring her behavior, it's only going to get worse." Tom looked up at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of pain and uncertainty. "What do you want me to do?" I swallowed, my mouth dry. This was it, the moment of truth. I want her to move out. She needs to learn responsibility, to understand that she can't just take what she wants and expect no repercussions. I love you, Tom, but I can't live like this. If you can't make her leave, then I will." Tom's face fell. "You can't be serious. You're asking me to choose between you and my daughter." I felt a lump in my throat, but I nodded. "Yes, I am. Because right now, it feels like you've already chosen. Every time you let her get away with something, every time you turn a blind eye, you're choosing her over me, over us. I need to know that you're willing to stand up for what's right, even if it's hard." Tom looked away, his jaw clenched. "She's my daughter. I can't just throw her out on the street." "I'm not asking you to abandon her," I said, my voice softening. "I'm asking you to help her grow up. She can stay with friends, find a job, learn to take care of herself. This isn't just about the money, Tom. It's about respect. It's about showing Mia that there are consequences for her actions." Tom sighed, rubbing his temples. "I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can be that kind of father." I reached out, placing my hand on his. "You can. We can. But we have to do it together. I can't be the only one fighting for this marriage. You have to stand with me." He looked up at me, his eyes searching mine. "And if I can't? If I can't bring myself to make her leave," my heart ached, but I held his gaze. "Then I'll leave, Tom. I can't stay in a marriage where I'm not respected, where my voice doesn't matter. I love you, but I won't sacrifice my self-respect. Not for Mia, not for anyone. Tom sat back, his face a picture of defeat. I need time to think. This is all happening so fast. I need to figure out what to do. I nodded, my chest tightening. Take the time you need, but know that I mean what I say. I won't back down. Not this time. Tom left the room, and I sat alone, the silence pressing in on me. Had I done the right thing? Was I being too harsh? I thought about the years I had spent trying to be the perfect stepmother, the sacrifices I had made, the love I had given. And for what? To be treated like an outsider in my own home? No. I wouldn't let this break me. I had drawn a line in the sand, and now it was up to Tom to decide which side he was on. I only hoped he would make the right choice. For our marriage, for our future, and for Mia. She needed to learn that actions had consequences, and that love wasn't about letting someone walk all over you. I stood up, setting my cold coffee on the table. There was nothing more I could do now but wait. Wait for Tom to make his decision, and hope that, for once, he would choose me. The house was heavy with tension. Days turned into a week, and the silence between Tom and me grew thicker. Mia stayed out more often, probably sensing the growing strain between us, or maybe she was just avoiding the inevitable confrontation. Every time Tom and I crossed paths, there was an unspoken question lingering in the air, one I was too afraid to ask. Had he made his decision yet? One evening, after dinner, Tom finally broke the silence. We need to talk, he said, his voice strained. I put down my fork, barely having touched my food. About Mia? He nodded, looking more tired than I had ever seen him. Yeah, about Mia. I folded my hands in my lap, bracing myself. Have you thought about what I said? Tom sighed heavily, rubbing his eyes. I've thought about nothing else. I know you're right, that Mia needs to face consequences. But I just don't know if throwing her out is the answer. I felt frustration bubbling up. Then what is the answer, Tom? Because doing nothing isn't working. She stole from us, and she doesn't even care. How can you just sit there and let her walk all over us? Tom held up his hands, trying to calm me down. I'm not saying we do nothing. I'm saying we find another way to handle this. Maybe we talk to her, set some rules, give her a chance to make things right. I shook my head, disbelief washing over me. A chance to make things right? Tom, she's had chances. She's had years of us turning a blind eye, hoping she'd grow out of this. She needs a wake-up call, not another slap on the wrist. I know, Tom said, his voice cracking. But I'm scared, okay? Scared of pushing her away, of losing her. She's my daughter, and I don't want her to hate me. My heart softened at his words, but I couldn't back down. I understand that you're scared, but Mia needs to learn that her actions have consequences. You're not helping her by coddling her. You're just delaying the inevitable. If she doesn't learn responsibility now, she never will. Tom slumped in his chair, defeated. So what do you want me to do? Just kick her out. I leaned forward, my voice firm but gentle. I want you to tell her that she needs to find another place to stay. Just for a while, until she can prove that she's willing to change. She needs to get a job, pay back what she took, and show us that she respects this family. It's not about punishing her, Tom. It's about helping her grow up. Tom looked at me, his eyes full of pain. And if I can't do that? If I can't bring myself to make her leave, I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my words. Then I'll have to go, Tom. I can't live like this, knowing that my feelings don't matter, that I'm just a bystander in my own marriage. I love you, but I need to know that you're willing to stand up for us, for me. Tom stared at me for a long moment, and I could see the turmoil in his eyes. Finally, he nodded, his shoulders slumping. Okay. I'll talk to her. I'll tell her she needs to leave, just for a while. I felt a wave of relief wash over me, but it was tinged with sadness. I knew how much this was hurting Tom, and I hated being the cause of his pain. But I couldn't back down, not now. This was about more than just Mia. This was about our marriage, about respect, about standing up for myself. "Thank you," I said softly, reaching out to squeeze his hand. "I know this isn't easy, but it's the right thing to do," Tom nodded, his face lined with worry. "I hope you're right. I don't want to lose you, or Mia. I just want us to be a family." I gave him a small, sad smile. "We are a family, Tom. But sometimes, being a family means making hard choices. We'll get through this." "I know we will." The next day, Tom asked Mia to come home early from her usual night out with friends. I waited in the living room, my heart pounding, as Tom and Mia sat down at the kitchen table. I couldn't hear their words, but I could see the tension in their faces. Tom looked pained, his eyes heavy with sadness. Mia looked defiant, her arms crossed, her jaw set. As Tom spoke, I saw Mia's face change from anger to shock, and then to betrayal. She stood up, shouting something I couldn't hear, her face red with fury. Tom stood too, his hands raised, trying to calm her down. But Mia wasn't having any of it. She pushed past him, storming out of the kitchen and up the stairs, her footsteps echoing through the house. I waited, holding my breath, as Tom came back into the living room. He looked exhausted, his face drawn and pale. "Well?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "She's packing her things," he said, his voice hollow. "She said she hates me, that I've ruined her life. But she's leaving. She'll stay with a friend for now." I felt a mix of relief and sadness. "I'm sorry, Tom. I know this is hard," he nodded, his eyes wet with unshed tears. "I just hope she understands someday. I hope she knows I did this because I love her, not because I don't care." I reached out, pulling him into a hug. "She'll understand, Tom. Maybe not now, but one day. And we'll be here for her when she does. But for now, we need to focus on us, on rebuilding what we have." Tom hugged me back, his arms tight around me. "I just want us to be okay. I don't want to lose you. You won't lose me," I promised, holding him close. "We'll get through this." Together, as we stood there, holding each other, I felt a sense of hope. This wasn't the end, it was a new beginning. A chance to rebuild, to grow stronger, to be the family we always wanted to be. It wouldn't be easy, but we had each other, and that was all that mattered. But even as I clung to that hope, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Mia was out there, angry, hurt, and rebellious. This was far from over. The real challenge was just beginning. Mia left the house that night, slamming the front door behind her so hard that the walls seemed to shake. Tom stood by the window, watching as she stormed down the driveway and out of sight. His shoulders were slumped, his face a mask of pain and regret. "She'll be okay," I said softly, coming up beside him and resting my hand on his arm. "It's better this way." "She needs to learn," Tom nodded, but I could see the doubt in his eyes. "I know you're right, but it still feels like I'm losing her. I've tried so hard to be a good father, to do right by her, and now, you are a good father, Tom," I insisted, turning him to face me. "But part of being a good parent is making tough decisions. Sometimes love means letting go, letting them learn their own lessons." Tom sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I just hope she'll forgive me one day." "She will," I said, hoping my words would be true. "She's angry now, but once she has time to think, she'll understand." Over the next few days, the house was eerily quiet without Mia's presence. The silence was both a relief and a reminder of the turmoil that had unfolded. I busied myself with work, trying to give Tom space to process his feelings. He was distant, spending most of his time in his study, lost in thought. One afternoon, about a week after Mia had left, Tom came into the living room holding his phone. "Mia called," he said, his voice hesitant. My heart skipped a beat. "What did she say?" "She wants to meet," Tom said, his eyes searching mine. "She says she wants to talk, to try and work things out." I felt a flicker of hope. "That's good, right? It means she's willing to listen, to understand." Tom nodded slowly. "I hope so. I'm afraid of saying the wrong thing, of pushing her away even more. You won't, I assured him. Just be honest with her. Tell her how much you love her, how much you want to help her. She needs to hear that. Tom looked at me, a small smile tugging at his lips. You're always so strong, so sure of what's right. I don't know what I'd do without you. I squeezed his hand. You don't have to find out. We're in this together, remember? He nodded, squeezing my hand back. Together, that evening, Tom met Mia at a cafe downtown. I stayed home, wanting to give them space to talk. I paced the living room, my mind racing with possibilities. Would Mia come back home? Would she finally take responsibility for her actions? Or would this be another battle, another test of our fragile peace? Hours passed before Tom returned. The moment he walked through the door, I could tell something had changed. He looked lighter, a small, hopeful smile on his face. How did it go? I asked, my heart pounding. Tom took a deep breath, his eyes shining. She apologized. She actually apologized. She said she realized how much she had hurt us, how wrong she was to take the money. Tears welled up in my eyes. That's amazing, Tom. I'm so proud of her, he nodded, his smile growing. She wants to make things right. She's going to get a job, pay us back, and she even agreed to go to therapy. She knows she needs help, that she can't keep going down this path. Relief flooded through me, and I hugged Tom tightly. I knew she would come around. I knew she had it in her. Tom hugged me back, his voice thick with emotion. Thank you. Thank you for pushing me, for making me see what needed to be done. I don't know if I could have done it without you. I pulled back, looking into his eyes. We did it together, Tom. And Mia's going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. Over the next few weeks, things began to change. Mia found a part-time job at a local bookstore, and true to her word, she started paying back the money she had taken. She moved back home, but with new rules and boundaries in place. We had family dinners, talked about our days, and slowly, the tension that had once filled the house began to fade. Mia even started therapy, something I never thought she would agree to. She was reluctant at first, but after a few sessions, she admitted it was helping. She was learning to cope with her anger, her grief, and her feelings of resentment. She was learning to understand herself and us in a way she hadn't before. One evening, as we sat around the dinner table, Mia looked up, her eyes filled with sincerity. I'm sorry, she said, her voice shaky. For everything. For stealing, for lying, for hurting you both. I was so lost, and I didn't know how to deal with everything. But I'm trying now, and I hope you can forgive me. Tears filled my eyes, and I reached across the table to take her hand. We've already forgiven you, Mia. We love you, and we're so proud of the steps you're taking. Tom nodded, his voice thick with emotion. We're a family, Mia. We'll always be here for you, no matter what. Mia smiled, a real, genuine smile that I hadn't seen in years. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for not giving up on me. After dinner, as I stood in the kitchen washing dishes, Tom came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. I love you, he murmured into my ear. More than words can say. I leaned back against him, feeling a sense of peace I hadn't felt in a long time. I love you too, Tom. We've been through a lot, but we made it through. Together, he turned me around, his eyes shining with love. Yes, we did. And I know we can face anything, as long as we have each other. I smiled, my heart full. Here's to a fresh start, to new beginnings, and to a stronger, happier family. Tom nodded, pulling me into a tender kiss. As we stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together. Because that's what family does. They fight, they forgive, and they love, no matter what. Thanks for sticking with me through this story, everyone. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think I handled things the right way? Have you ever faced a similar situation? Let me know in the comments. And as always, like and subscribe for more stories. Your support means the world to me.